Everyone is wearing a mask, refined layout. Have you ever walked into a room and just knew something wasn't right, but couldn't explain why? Someone's laughing, smiling, saying all the right things, but your gut whispers they're faking it. You can't point to the exact reason, but deep down, you feel it. Something doesn't match. That's not paranoia. That's your intuition catching a crack in the mask. Because in truth, everyone is wearing one. Not the kind made of plastic, but the kind made of fear, shame, pride, or insecurity. Most people go through life pretending to be confident when they're afraid, pretending to be kind when they want something, pretending to be loyal until it's inconvenient. But here's the secret most never discover. Once you learn how to truly observe, people reveal everything. Welcome to Stoic Spirit, the place where ancient wisdom meets modern power. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, because this isn't just about stoicism. It's about seeing life clearly, seeing yourself clearly, and learning how to move through the world with quiet strength. Today, I'm going to show you 8 signs that expose the truth people try to hide. They won't even realize they're revealing it, but you will. And if you stay until the end, I'll share one insight that will change how you see everyone, including yourself, forever. Let's begin. 1. The tell me more technique, the weapon of stillness. In a world obsessed with talking, few understand the power of silence. Yet one of the most powerful tools in human interaction isn't a sharp argument or a clever phrase. It's simply this: tell me more. Said with calm, non-judgmental curiosity, these 3 words open doors most people spend years trying to keep locked. When someone feels truly listened to, not judged, not interrupted, not debated, they relax. Their defenses lower, and what starts as surface-level talk often transforms into something far deeper. They begin to reveal their patterns, their fears, their wounds. Not because you forced them to, but because you made space for them to unfold. This is the Stoic way, not to dominate a conversation, but to direct it through stillness. Like Epictetus said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. The Stoic doesn't listen to wait for his turn to speak. He listens to understand, not because he's passive, but because he's in control. The brilliance of tell me more lies in its subtlety. It doesn't demand, it invites, it doesn't manipulate, it reveals. The more someone talks, the more their hidden motivations come to light. Their words might sound polished, but their stories eventually expose the deeper scripts they've been living by. You'll notice things, contradictions in their narrative, moments of emotional intensity, hesitation when they mention certain people or events. All of that is information, not to be weaponized, but to be observed. Because from a Stoic's perspective, knowledge is not for exploitation. It's for clarity. In relationships, in negotiations, even in conflict, the one who listens with presence and doesn't rush to respond wins. Not because they out-talked the other, but because they outsaw them. That's real power, not the kind that forces, the kind that sees and stays silent until the truth finishes speaking. 2. Watch how they treat the invisible people. If you want to read someone's soul, don't look at how they treat you, especially if you're in a position they want something from. Instead, watch how they behave with people they believe are beneath them. The waiter, the janitor, the delivery person, the receptionist. People who, in their mind, hold no power and offer no reward. This is the true character test, because when there's no incentive to be kind, the only thing left is authenticity. Seneca once wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." A Stoic doesn't see others based on status. He sees the shared humanity beneath all roles and labels. That's why observing how someone interacts with those they believe don't matter reveals who they really are. You'll notice this especially in professional settings. The coworker who flatters the boss but ignores the intern. The friend who's warm and gracious in public but becomes cold and dismissive behind closed doors. These patterns are not accidents. They're reflections of deeper values, or the lack of them. Rudeness to the powerless is a form of quiet arrogance. It's the belief that worth is conditional, that people only deserve respect when they're useful. This isn't just unethical. It's dangerous, because if someone only shows you respect when it serves them, It's not respect, it's strategy. A Stoic reads this with clarity. He doesn't get fooled by charm or charisma. He watches behavior when no status is at stake. The person who says thank you to the cleaner, who holds the door for the delivery driver, who speaks kindly to the forgotten, that's someone who carries inner alignment. In a world obsessed with hierarchy and image, let your attention go where others don't bother looking. Because the way someone treats those who don't matter tells you exactly what you need to know about what kind of person they'll be when it's your turn to be invisible. 3. Their past is speaking through their present. Most people think they're making choices in the present, but what they don't realize is their present is usually haunted by the past. Behind every overreaction, every pattern, every strange emotional trigger, there's usually a story. You meet someone afraid of getting close, and on the surface, they seem independent. But dig deeper, and you find abandonment in childhood. You meet someone obsessed with controlling every detail, and behind that obsession is the chaos they grew up in. The past doesn't disappear, it simply adapts, and often, it takes over. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth by which no one was ever truly harmed." But most people don't even realize that what they do is being driven by unhealed experiences. They think they're acting logically, when in fact, they're just reacting emotionally to old wounds that never got closure. A Stoic doesn't analyze people to blame them or excuse them. He analyzes to understand patterns, to protect his own energy, and to respond instead of react. When you notice someone always bristles at rejection, it's probably because they've been made to feel unwanted before. When someone sabotages success right before they achieve it, it's likely because they're carrying beliefs that say they're not worthy. You don't need to know every detail of someone's history to see its fingerprints. You just have to notice what they repeat, what they fear, what they defend, what they chase. The past leaves marks, and behavior is the ink that makes them visible. But here's the deeper Stoic insight. When you recognize how much of people's lives are run by history, it reminds you to reflect on your own. Which of your behaviors aren't truly yours? Which reactions are just echoes of something you haven't faced yet? This awareness doesn't just help you read others. It becomes a mirror, one that reveals your own blind spots. And that's where the real transformation begins. What's one pattern or belief from your past that you've had to unlearn? Share it in the comments. Your insight might help someone else break free too. 4. Sudden tone shifts, subconscious leaks. You don't always need words to catch a lie. Sometimes it's the tone that exposes everything. A slight change in pitch, an unnatural pause, a fake enthusiasm that feels just a little too forced. These are the subconscious cracks in the mask, the moments where someone's body betrays their script. And if you're paying attention, they'll tell you far more than their words ever could. The Stoics understood that truth reveals itself in behavior, not declarations. That's why they practiced observing without judgment. As Epictetus taught, appearances to the mind are of 4 kinds. It is our duty to bring our own judgment to bear upon each of these appearances. And tone, that tiny tremble in the voice, is one such appearance. Let's say someone's giving you an excuse. Everything they're saying sounds fine, but suddenly their voice drops. They start choosing words more carefully, or they begin to rush. That's not confidence, that's internal tension. And it usually means the truth is hiding under pressure. Why does this happen? Because lying creates conflict inside the body. The conscious mind is trying to keep the performance going, but the subconscious knows something's off. That discomfort leaks out through hesitation, stammering, a nervous laugh. The body knows what the mouth doesn't want to admit. A Stoic doesn't accuse. He doesn't react with ego. He observes. He watches how someone speaks, not just what they say. Because tone is like an open window into discomfort, fear, or deception. And if you listen well, you'll hear what others miss. Have you ever noticed someone's tone reveal more than their words? Drop your story in the comments. We're all learning to listen beyond language. 5. Who are they when no one's watching? If you want to know who someone truly is, Don't look at how they behave in the spotlight. Look at who they are in the shadows, in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when there's no applause to earn, no consequence to fear. Anyone can be charming when it pays to be. Politeness is easy when there's something to gain, but the man who remains kind, composed, and virtuous, even when there's nothing in it for him, that man is rare. That man is real. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." But most people are only good when there's an audience. That's not character, that's performance. A Stoic watches for what others overlook. He notices the way someone treats their partner when no one else is around, the tone they use with a child, the patience or lack of it they show when there's no praise coming. I've seen it in the workplace. A manager who's warm and supportive in meetings, but cold and dismissive the moment the boss walks away. That's not authenticity, that's calculation. And if someone can flip the switch like that, don't trust the version they turn on for you. The Stoic test of character is consistency, not perfection. Can they treat the intern with the same respect as the CEO? Can they hold their temper when there's no one to impress? Can they be gentle when no one is watching? That's what reveals their core. True integrity doesn't need a stage, it needs solitude. When do you feel most yourself? In the spotlight or in solitude? Let us know below. No judgment here. 6. Emotional reactions reveal hidden values. You want to know what really matters to someone? Don't wait for them to tell you. Just watch what makes them lose their composure. Anger, excitement, defensiveness. That sudden shift in tone or body language when a certain subject comes up. That's where their values live. Because emotions are involuntary. And the moments we react most strongly are the moments when something we deeply care about feels threatened, acknowledged, or touched. Think of the boss who erupts when someone questions his decision. It's not just about control. His sense of identity is wrapped in being seen as right. Or the friend who beams when you compliment their artwork, even if they pretend it doesn't matter. Deep down it does, because recognition is tied to their self-worth. Seneca once said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Stoics knew that uncontrolled emotion is a sign of inner imbalance and a clue to what drives us unconsciously. A Stoic uses emotional reactions like a map, not to manipulate, but to understand. He sees that the person who gets overly defensive when you mention lateness probably has a deeper insecurity about being perceived as unreliable. The woman who reacts intensely when plans change might link presence to love, because abandonment once left a scar. This also works in reverse. What makes people light up? Where do they suddenly talk faster, more animated, more open? That's where their values, and sometimes their purpose, reside. Understanding someone's emotional triggers gives you insight into their world. It allows you to communicate better, to set boundaries wisely, and to navigate tension with grace instead of force. But most importantly, it teaches you to do the same for yourself. Next time you get triggered, pause and ask, what value just got touched? You might discover that it's not the situation, it's your attachment to something deeper. To master emotion is to master the map of your inner life. To observe emotion in others is to see where they're most vulnerable and most human. Which emotion reveals your hidden values the most? Anger, joy, anxiety, or something else? Comment below. Awareness starts with honesty. 7. Repetition reveals programming. Human behavior isn't random, it's patterned. People don't just repeat phrases, they repeat choices. They repeat relationships. They repeat failures. You'll see it everywhere. The woman who keeps falling for emotionally unavailable men. The man who always finds a way to ruin his own success just before it manifests. The friend who jumps from drama to drama, always playing the same role in a new scene. It's easy to write this off as bad luck or poor decision-making. But a Stoic knows better. These aren't accidents, they're programs. And every program has a source code. Beliefs, traumas, identity loops rooted deep in the subconscious. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What we think, consciously or not, becomes who we are. And unless we confront that programming, we'll keep running the same loop, over and over again. A Stoic doesn't just look at what a person says in the moment. He watches for their pattern. What themes come up in their stories? What do they consistently avoid? What emotional dynamics do they keep recreating, even if the faces change? When you recognize a pattern, you don't just understand the person. You understand what's driving them. You see what they haven't healed, what they're still trying to fix through repetition, what lessons they're being offered again and again, but haven't yet learned. Patterns equal prediction. And once you see the pattern, you're no longer confused by surface behavior. You're reading the underlying script. As a Stoic, your role is not to judge the loop, but to witness it. And sometimes when the moment's right, you might even help someone break free from it. Not by force, but by helping them see the story they've been blindly living. Because once a person becomes aware of their pattern, that's when true transformation becomes possible. 8. Body language. The silent confession. People can lie with words. They do it every day. But the body? The body confesses. The way someone crosses their arms when you bring up something sensitive, the way their eyes shift sideways when they're uncertain, the tapping foot, the clenched jaw, the fake smile that doesn't reach the eyes. These aren't meaningless gestures. They're psychological tells. Because when the mind tries to hide something, the body almost always leaks the truth. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." But most people haven't done that first part. They don't know who they really are. So they compensate with performance, with masks. And those masks often slip, not in speech, but in posture. You'll notice it. The confident speaker who suddenly starts rubbing their neck during a tough question. The smiling date whose hands are trembling just below the table. The team leader who says, "I'm fine," but whose body leans away, like they're retreating from their own words. This isn't about playing detective. It's about honest observation. A Stoic reads what's unspoken, not to manipulate, but to understand. When someone's words and body don't match, you must trust the body, because nature never lies. Our biology is honest, even when our mouths aren't. That's why Stoic awareness is so powerful. You don't react to the story. You pay attention to the energy behind it. You listen not only with ears, but with presence, with clarity, with stillness. The body is a mirror of the unconscious. And when you learn to read its signals, you unlock a new language, one that speaks truth even in silence. After hearing all 8 signs, which one do you find the most revealing in real life? Type the number in the comments and tell us why. Let's build some Stoic insight together. Master yourself, then others. Reading people isn't about power games. It's not about manipulation. It's not about trying to stay one step ahead just to win. It's about clarity, the kind that cuts through noise, masks, and social theater. Because the person who sees clearly doesn't just survive better, they live better. When you learn to observe others without judgment, without attachment, without emotional fog, you begin to unlock something even greater. The ability to observe yourself. You'll start noticing your own tone shifts, your own patterns, your own emotional triggers, and suddenly, life stops being chaotic. It starts making sense. You'll see that the masks others wear, they're not so different from your own. The games people play, you've played them too. But a Stoic doesn't pretend to be perfect, he aims to be aware. And that awareness, that's the gateway to freedom. Because when you master the art of reading others, not to control them, but to connect more deeply, protect your peace, and walk through the world with calm discernment, that's when you stop being reactive and start becoming undeniable. So remember, the greatest power is not in knowing what others hide, it's in knowing why they hide it, and why you no longer need to. Stay still, stay observant, stay Stoic. Your voice matters. What was the most eye-opening part of this video for you? Let's talk in the comments and help each other grow stronger together. Thank you for watching. If this video gave you clarity, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Spirit, where we turn ancient wisdom into modern power.